All right, here we go. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Reyes Reflection Podcast. Thank you so much for finding your way here. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Follow me on the socials at I'm Nathanael Reyes. Love to the partners, Jocko Fuel, clean fuel without compromise, Mad Rabbit, Tattoo Aftercare, Be Bold, Be You. Use promo code Reyes Reflection at checkout for a discount. And Arave cards, completing sets one card at a time. Check out their eBay and Facebook page to get yourself going on your Pokemon card collection. Introduction time for my next guest. She is a remarkable singer and songwriter with many incredible covers and originals such as Old Me and Night Without You. Some of you may know her from her time on season 24 of The Voice, but some, like Reba McEntire, may have been waited on by this individual. And others may know her as a cat mom. So without further ado, the lovely Claudia B. Welcome to the pod.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I love learning new things about myself every time I get an introduction. So now I know I'm known as a cat mom. That's great.
Yeah. You know what? Nathanael does his research.
Well, they're actually both in the room, so we might have some little, cameos happening.
I was going to say, we might have some cameos. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this day. I want to start off with a trust building exercise, okay?
All right.
What does the B in Claudia stand for?
I'll tell you off camera, but it's my middle name.
Oh, off camera. Okay, you know what? I'll take it off camera. I can take that off camera.
Yeah, I'm sure anyone could find it if they really wanted to, but I'll keep some mystery for now.
That's right. With Google and with your phones and a computer in your pocket all the time, if somebody really wanted to learn that information, they really could.
They can find it, yeah.
It's funny you say that because I was in a very cheesy movie back in like 2018, 19. And
Really?
So a lot, yes. And same thing. A lot of people are like, what movie? And I say, I will tell you off camera. If you really want to know, you can Google search my name. It will pop up and you can go ahead and laugh at me for something I did back almost half a decade ago.
Now I want to know.
Off camera. There you go. Well, it'll be a nice swap.
Yeah.
I thought it was for Be Awesome. That's what that was. I was gonna say Be Awesome or Be You.
Claudia B. Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That works.
I like that. I want to talk about your covers, which is primarily what I saw a lot of your content on social media. You range from a lot of different genres: hip hop, rap, country. What genre are you most comfortable with?
I mean, I love everything, as you can tell. I love to take, anything, from Eric Clapton, which is on my mind because I covered it yesterday, to SZA, to whatever. I mean, when I was in high school, I used to do, I did like little medleys of like the most popular like rap and hip hop songs that were on the radio. So I've done it all. But my favorite right now is, what feels truest to me as an artist. So it's kind of like in the lane of Norah Jones, Emily King, the artist Her, if you're familiar. That kind of stuff.
I was going to say, from what I saw on The Voice, which we will definitely talk about, but also just on your social media, it seems like a good hybrid of who you are as a person and as a performer and as a singer. That's what it seems like you're not pigeonholed into one specific genre because just from my experience of watching you, it does seem like you're very comfortable with a bunch of different genres, which is really remarkable. I think it's an incredible talent because I don't think many people are comfortable with that type of deal. But I do like the medleys. I was always big into like song medleys in different genres. I think that's cool personally. When I see those YouTube clips, I'm into that stuff.
Well, I'll have to make that a priority in this coming year and put some more of those together because I love them too. But yeah, I mean, I think the diversification of like what I love to do, comes from random bits of like music education throughout my life. And also just having parents who listen to music with me growing up from, different decades. And also like now I live in Nashville. So the way I make a living right now is through playing cover gigs mostly. And so people will come up, all kinds of different people, and they'll request songs, and hopefully I know how to play them. And the more and the better I know how to play the song, the better they'll like me in the room. So all that has kind of lent itself towards knowing a bunch of different music. But I will say it can also be a little tricky sometimes because I love everything. And it's like, how do I pick what to focus on, what to start writing, when you love it all.
So your playlist on Apple, Spotify, whichever one floats your boat, must be just
Apple Music girl.
You're an Apple Music guy. I'm an Apple Music guy too, but you have to try to you have to feel the room. You have to see where people are at.
Spotify people get very offended when they hear that.
They really do. It's funny you say that. Spotify people take it personally. They really do.
I know, right?
And I'm like, it's what I'm comfortable with. It's on my phone. I don't have to download another app.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So I'm glad that we're two kindred spirits in that regard. But I do. So the point that I was gonna make was your playlist must be ranging from just different if you just go through every song in your downloaded list, it must be from like a heartbreak to like an up tempo to like a rock song. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in like a bossa nova phase right now, which is like just great for any occasion, like around the house, driving to something. It keeps my, road rage to a minimum. It's perfect.
That's the same with me. I feel like whenever I have the aux cord in the car, I don't know what the next song will be. It might be Britney Spears. I don't know. I can't tell you, my friends. Like, that's what I try to tell people. I'm like, listen, whatever it is, because I just pick and choose what song I like.
Exactly. I know. Exactly. I love it.
I'll let fate handle what song is next. It'll be shuffled and at random. So I want to play a quick game, okay?
Okay.
Finish the lyrics, okay?
Oh, no.
So I'm going to start, and then I want you to say the next lyric, okay?
All right,
let's do this. And all you ever hear me say is how I picture me with you. That's all you'd ever hear me say.
Wait, I actually don't know this. What, pop song?
Yes, Kelly Clarkson.
Oh, is this like an older one?
Kind of, I think so. Yeah, it was in Pitch Perfect.
Oh, how I picture me with you.
Bum, bum.
I don't know. I lose. Point.
Since You've Been Gone.
Really? Oh, is it the pre-chorus?
Yes. Pre-chorus.
So what's the answer?
It was Since You've Been Gone, but Since You've Been Gone, that's the next line.
Oh. All right, well, what's next?
All right, ready? As horror looks you right between the eyes, you're paralyzed. Michael Jackson song.
God, I'm really not a lyric girl, am I?
Yes, because this is Thriller, okay?
When you say it like without even the rhythm, I'm like, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you that's a song, or you just asked me a question. It's so funny.
You want to know something? I was going to sing it, but I felt like it would have made it worse because I'm not a singer.
Just like sing totally the wrong notes.
Completely. Yeah, I'm the type of person that I love to sing. I just know I'm god awful at it. God did not bless me with that. I can talk anybody's ear off. I can meet a stranger and be friends with them in 15, 20 minutes. But for some reason, I can't sing. But I love to. All right.
We all we can't have. I wish I could, be a little better at talking to people while I'm on stage. But, here we are. I'm a singer, so it's great.
Last one, okay? I think you would get this one.
Okay. I'm really bad. Okay.
Stuck a feather in his cap.
Wait, I literally, I'm so bad.
And called it.
Oh, macaroni?
Yes.
All right, so I can get nursery rhymes, but not Michael Jackson, who I literally sung on the show. That's good to know.
Do you know why I sang that last one too?
Why?
Because on The Voice, when they were doing your little promo, they showed you as a kid singing that song.
Was it that song?
Yes, it was you singing Stuck a Feather in His Cap and Called It Macaroni. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, you really did your research then.
Yes. So did you have to submit that video into The Voice? How did that work? How did they obtain this, that for it to be talked about on podcast?
They're really good at using Google. No, I'm just kidding. So now that everything's virtual, we didn't even fly out or meet anybody before we went out to do the blind auditions. But that means that, people don't come to our hometowns and film really anymore. So all the work is on the contestants and, our family or parents or whoever can help send footage in. And then for me, like my fiance, like we went in the backyard and I was like, getting some nature shots because they wanted just B-roll of any and everything. So yeah, that was all stuff that we sent in.
Nice. Yeah, let's transition now. So you grew up in Washington, D.C. What was that like for you?
It was great. I mean, I love DC. I love Virginia. I grew up on the campus of a school that both my parents worked at. So that was interesting. And I did have my mom as a teacher, as a French teacher. And I was able to do like some singing in DC, not only in church, but then, when I was in high school, I was in like a band and we got to play various shows in the city and in the suburbs too. So it was good. I mean, it's not a music city necessarily, but I got as much music out of it as I could.
Are you fluent in French?
Definitely not. I got maybe like 30% of the way there. I mean, I can understand a fair amount, but I'm like really shy speaking. I'm like scared of my accent. And, the 2 times that I've been able to go to France, I'm like mute.
That's like me with Spanish. So I'm from a Hispanic background, but I am not fluent, and I get nervous with like I'm like, I'm gonna be appeared as a fraud if I even try.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I don't want to be judged for my bad accent, even though I probably do know the words. And my accent's probably, not that terrible. I just don't even want to go there.
And they're like, you're a fraud, fake. Yeah. So I'm the same way.
Typical American.
Yeah. Yep. Same here. You said you were in a rock band in high school. What was the name of that rock band?
I was in 2. They're pretty funny. The first one was called Law and Disorder. The second one was called Out of Line. So yeah, some crazy kids.
Were you the leader of the band?
I was the lead singer. I played keys in them also. The first one I actually joined, so I can't take credit for the name Law and Disorder. I joined some friends. So they had put that together before me. And then the second one, yeah, I mean, I guess I had kind of dibs over what we would sing because I had to sing it. But we did all kinds of stuff and worked with a mentor too who had a say in some of the covers we did. So it was fun.
That is fun. I like that type of stuff. I wish I did that type of, instead I just did silly YouTube stuff until before YouTube was even a thing.
Whoa. Is it still out?
No. I did a lot of like slapstick, silly humor with, because I grew up all brothers.
Okay.
And so we just did a bunch of like roughhousing, silly stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, like stuff of like wrestling brothers, and we would it was filmed terribly on a little iPod Touch, grainy video. I'm sure it's out there in the ether.
Yeah, I remember those early YouTube days. It's funny. I'm actually trying to get back into YouTube now and see if it's still alive.
It's hard. YouTube is just...
Yeah.
It's hard nowadays, especially with long format content. I think that's what's hard nowadays because a lot of people are so stuck on quick. And even myself, I find myself I'm on TikTok and I'm scrolling. And I'm only watching maybe a video for 2-3 seconds before I'm like, oh, no, and it's just now I'm trying to reprogram myself of like, well, no, it's okay to sit and watch, a few minutes of a video to learn what's going on. So
I know it's really interesting how all that's changed, like literally in a couple years. I mean, like we can't be bored anymore. We don't like it, and even a intro that's 5 seconds, like we'll skip. It's crazy.
Yes, like if the guy says, "Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm going to show you," and you're like, "No, get away." Yes.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, it's insane. But, 5 years ago, I would be like, Mike, tell me who you are. I need to know what is going on.
My story. No. Yeah.
You went to school at Berkeley, my backyard, Boston.
Oh, cool.
I went to school in Boston for half a semester.
Nice. That's like about how much time people spend at Berkeley, so.
That's a very prestigious music school. Did you have to audition to get in?
Yes. It was about as long of a process as it was to get on The Voice. No, but I actually had gone to like a month-long summer program there, became absolutely obsessed with everything from the faculty, the other kids, Boston in general. And I came back home. I think it was the summer right before my sophomore year. And I decided, with the support of my parents, that we were going to try, I was going to apply early for my, leaving high school after my junior year and going straight to college. And luckily that worked out. I got a GED to make that happen. And I was just over high school. I was never really, it wasn't my favorite time, and I just wanted to do music. So we were able to make that happen. But yeah, I did have to do an in-person audition. So I played them a song. I played them Unaware by Alan Stone. And then we did some, I want to say they like made me recite some rhythms. We did some like sheet music, sight reading, and a couple more things like that. But yeah, I haven't thought about that in a while, actually.
That's super cool. I remember I tried to pick up playing the piano halfway through my junior year of high school, and my friends were like, "Oh, there's a music school just in Boston called Berkeley,"
Gosh.
and I did audition. It did not go well though, but I did audition.
Really? So you know what I'm talking about?
I do. That's why I was trying to hear your experience, because I was like, "Oh, I wanted to see if it changed up," because I think you're 25, right?
Yeah.
So I'm 30. So I'm a few years older. So I was like, I'm going to try to see if they switched it up anything different. And I remember it low-key was a very intimidating process, just because like
Totally.
I was standing there trying to play, and
Okay, so did they put you in a room like with other kids, and you had this like
yes,
sheet music, and you're like,
yes. And I think I messed up a huge amount just because I was so nervous of the
Of course.
atmosphere I was in, rather than, I think if I was like all things, there's always no all woulda, shoulda, coulda. I think if I was in a room by myself, I would have been okay.
Yeah.
But you live and you learn, you move on. But yes, I did. I struggled.
Yeah, I know. And they have like professors do those auditions, and they can be either really friendly or really intimidating, or both.
Yes, it is a combination of both. It is yes. Yeah. No, valid point. So, no, that's funny. That's funny. But you had a good 4 years there, right? Is it 4 years?
I think I was actually there for 3 years, because I did like summer semesters.
Okay.
And had some credits going in. Yeah.
Did COVID at all interfere with your graduation?
No, thank God. Yeah, I had an awesome graduation. We had Justin Timberlake, Missy Elliott, and I believe Alex Lacamoire who did Hamilton,
yep.
As the like 3 like honorary. Oh, I'm gonna mess this up. Honorary doctorates. And so we got to not meet them, but perform for them with the commencement concert. And yeah, that's a good memory. I'm so glad COVID didn't mess that up.
That is a really good memory. Justin Timberlake, man, that's my wheelhouse. I listened to NSYNC growing up.
Woo!
I was a big NSYNC guy. So before we transition to your time on The Voice, we mentioned you waited on Reba.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about?
Yeah, I was working down in Franklin at a little family cafe, coffee shop, restaurant. And I was actually, at that point, I wasn't waiting tables yet. I was actually working at the front doing behind the point of sale. So I was like the little cashier girl. And Reba came up, and so she placed her order, and we were all freaking out. She was super nice. And yeah, it felt totally full circle that she was, had her first season coaching of The Voice when it was my season, or my time to go on The Voice as well. So that was really fun. I'm sure she doesn't remember me. I don't know why she would, but it was cool to see her again. And it was a fun moment to be able to say that on stage too.
It's cool when you are in a environment where you don't expect to see a
Yes.
famous person. For example, I ran into John Cena one time at a Verizon.
Oh my God.
Here I am upgrading my phone, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's John Cena. So I completely understand, and I know someone who ran into um, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
She
wow.
was waiting a table, and Aaron Rodgers was the person she was waiting on. So I'm like,
Wow.
wow, you're waiting on a great quarterback. So it's just kind of when you are,
Very cool.
yeah, when you're in those environments, it's really cool to just be like, wow, this is happening right now.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there are a fair amount of people and celebrities that came into that restaurant just because it's Franklin, Tennessee. It's like a little bit of a wealthier area. And yeah, I mean, we got to meet a few people. And then I also worked downtown Nashville. I'm not a huge like country music person, so I sometimes wonder how many people I've served or waited on that I should know and I don't.
You're like, I could have ran into a bunch of other famous country stars, and I
Yep.
wouldn't have even known.
Yeah, that's a scary thought.
Let's talk about your time on The Voice.
All right.
When did that become a reality for you? When was this something that you were like, I'm going to actively pursue?
You know what? It actually wasn't this year, but I will say I auditioned twice before in person, and I think 3 times before in total. The first 2 times I was younger, I was in high school, and I had to fly up to New York and then Philly consecutively to do those auditions. They were in person. I was really intimidated. It was much worse than the Berkeley audition in certain ways. And both times, I sang one song for them out of 5 that I prepared, and they were like, "Thanks, like you can go home." No interview, nothing like that. So that really like crushed my spirits a little bit as a young person. And then, this year when I got a message from them to, potentially try out, I really felt like, I could do this or I don't have to, and whatever is meant to happen will be perfect, whatever the plan is. And so I just kind of went in with a why not approach. Again, it was all online, all virtual. So I sent in like 2 videos that I did with my fiance right after a gig, just in the living room. It progressed to a couple interviews over the computer. And the whole time I was thinking, it's probably not going to happen. I know they have like so many cuts along the way. So I was pretty much sure that I was going to be one of those just because, I don't necessarily have like the standard voice for that kind of show. And it ended up, just progressing and one step after another. And I ended up flying out to LA July or June of that year after I had initially applied in like October or November.
I feel like that seems to be the status quo. I've never talked to
Yeah.
someone who has told me, "Oh, I tried out one time and I just got casted." It almost seems
Right.
like that it's like 2 or 3 times of them working at it, and they almost get to a point where they reach out to you now, or because once your name is in the system now, they almost try to say, "Hey, let's
Totally.
go back to this person."
Yeah, it's really interesting. I guess, if anyone's listening who's interested in doing a show like that, I would tell them that it's really not about you so much as it is about what the show wants for that year. So, whether it works out for you or it doesn't, I would not take it personally because it's really just all about, the cast and what they want to make happen for that year.
At the end of the day, the show is a produced show.
Totally.
So, hey, we both have our mason jars.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. I love it. I know I got my popcorn here. I was ready for a good show. I was ready. And it's also midday.
I know it's lunchtime. I don't blame you.
And here you are, you're sacrificing your lunchtime. But that that does seem to be the status quo of people are working towards it, and like we just said, it is a produced show. Sometimes like you brought up a very excellent point. It's not always against you. More often than not, it doesn't even have anything to do with your talent. It's just like you said, what the mold of the show is trying to be for that particular season.
Yeah. And, if they think they have someone like you, they don't want two of a similar person. So it could be something as simple as that.
Yeah. No, you bring up a very, very good point. You sang Human Nature by Michael Jackson. Why did you choose that song?
That is a song that I started playing about a year ago in my gigs in Nashville. And I started doing this like acoustic version with my fiance Jacob on guitar. And I just loved how it felt, slowed down a little bit. I adore the original, but I loved it a little bit more in that like intimate setting. And I just, added it to my list of potential songs because I was like, why not? Like, I love this one. It's not too outrageous to sing. And I remember getting the email confirmation that was the one that they okayed for the show. And I was so excited. And of course, I got to sit up in front of that amazing band who plays everything live, which was insane. And yeah, cool song.
That is a really cool song. Michael Jackson can be very intimidating. So it was very impressive that you were able to take that and that you wanted to take on that challenge, which I think went in your way because Reba, John, and Niall all turned around pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Before your decision, you said strategy is pulling you one way, but your heart is pulling you another. Which one was John Legend? Was he heart or strategy?
Honestly, like I'm like starting to sweat even thinking about that moment because I haven't even dealt with it. It was like so crazy.
Yeah, like I haven't even processed that moment entirely.
No, I'm like, you're making me do it right now. Like,
I told you it was going to be a trust building exercise. I did say.
For sure. It's a safe space, but oh man, like I remember saying that. What was I thinking? Okay. I think I was thinking that a lot of the soulful singers were going to go to John. So maybe I shouldn't go there.
Yep.
But at the same time, John was someone whose music I was obsessed with growing up. One of my first inspirations of like a singer-songwriter who played keys really well. And so I think my heart choice was John, which I ended up choosing. And he knew that because he said, go with your heart. And so that just put me over the edge.
Well, so your heart was to John.
And then he broke it. I'm just kidding.
He did break your heart, which he did break your heart, which we will discuss. But you had the chance to break his, so we'll talk about. So in the battles, you sang "Son of a Preacher Man," high praises again from all the coaches. You lost, but that's when Niall stole you. What was that moment like? Because it's a split second. You're thinking you're gonna go home, and then he hits the button. He's like, "You're not going anywhere."
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, I just felt so like lucky because so many great singers ended up going home that round. And I just I couldn't be more grateful because I felt like I really didn't show who I was yet. And that was all I wanted to do. And, I'm proud of what Mara and I did on that song. And I think we took a song that, I wouldn't necessarily have picked. I'm sure she may not have picked on her own, and we made it work for both of us. So I'm glad that it showed to the coaches. And yeah, I mean, you could see how shocked I was if you go back and watch, but I mean, Niall, it was just such a cool moment. I mean, I didn't even know until after that he hit the button with his head. So that was funny. And yeah, I just felt really lucky.
I also want to bring up something. You brought up a very good point and a very honest, candid point, which I appreciate, about how it wasn't necessarily a song that you or Mira probably would have chosen or something to that effect. I like that honesty because sometimes I think when you're watching it on TV, you think the person that you picked it.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of times where the person is just, again, produced show, nothing against it. That's how TV is. They're telling you, no, you have to do this and you have to do the best that you can possibly do. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm actually grateful as a fan to have watched you because you're right. You didn't get to show everything that you could have potentially have done with the first two songs. So I think you having more time was able to show off that. So I do agree with that point. I do agree with that sentiment. I think that that's very important just because I think, unfortunately, that is the way the show is. That's the way the
Yep.
cookie crumbles. And it gives great exposure. Like all things, there's pros and cons. But as an artist, for you, not me, I'm not an artist, but for yourself, it could be something of like, I have an idea or I have a vision. I have something I want to show off. And
Yep.
sometimes it's hard when you're being told what you can and can't do.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. And the other thing is the whole environment doesn't necessarily lend itself to the best art. It's luckily my season wasn't super competitive. We were all really supportive of each other, but at the end of the day, it is a competition singing show. Yep. It is produced, of course, because it's a TV show, and they have to control everything that's going on. That's their job. And for me, it was really hard in some ways because it was such a high stress environment. And, I don't necessarily do my best. Your voice is, it's an instrument, but it's also like part of your body. So if you're nervous, if you're stressed, you're going to hear that in the performance. And that was the other reason that I'm so glad that I got to stay on for rounds, because even though I was like shaking nervous the whole time, I got a little bit more comfortable each time I got to step on stage.
And I appreciate that honesty as well. And for the people who don't know, I asked Claudia to come on, and she said, well, let's wait a little bit until we can see the round. So that, and you know what? I am totally thankful that you were just like, wait and see, and which gave more content for this episode. So I appreciate it. The timing worked out perfectly.
Agreed.
Then you're on Team Niall for the knockouts, saying Don't Know Why by Norah Jones. You had a little extra motivation. We just talked about it. Your heart was broken by John. So that little bit of motivation of you feeling like you had to kind of not go at John, but like say like, look, this is what I could do, which he did see. Yeah. Talk to me about that little extra motivation, because I think when we are watching sports, or I don't know if you ever played sports, I did, but like they call it bulletin board material, which is where you put something up that another team said, another coach said, and you're looking at it every practice, so that way you get yourself revved up. So in this, what was that little motivation for you as an individual to really want to show what you could do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just the fact that, to be totally honest, I didn't feel very confident in my first performance, and I felt like I stepped up in my second performance, but I felt like I really wanted to show who I was as an artist, and I felt like I hadn't been able to do that. So all I wanted was, for John to see, what my lane was, which was, the piano and the singing. And it really wasn't my intent to make him like feel bad about his decision at all. Like, I mean, it just wasn't, but I did want him to see what I could do. And I totally got my, I'm using air quotes, but my redemption. And that was a really hard choice, having to pick between Niall and John. And truly, like, the only reason I stayed with Niall was because I hadn't gotten a chance to work with him. He was actually out of town for that round. And also because I felt like I owed him something, because he kept me on the show already. So I was like, he was asking me to stay with him. So I was like, of course.
Was there any part of you that maybe kind of wanted to go back with John?
Totally. I mean, yeah, there was no wrong decision. I mean, all the teams were stacked. So there was really no, there was no good move and there was no bad move. Like, either way, I got to have another round on the show, and even got to work with Dan and Shay as coaches, which was cool. They were really great.
Oh, I love them. And Winona. I love Dan and Shay. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really awesome. Playoffs. You sang one of my favorite songs by one of my favorite artists of all time, Talking to the Moon by Bruno Mars. Did you choose that song? You know
what? Kind of, but actually Niall picked that one because I had said, we were emailing back and forth, no big deal.
Yeah. No big deal. Do you still have his email?
Yes.
Look at you go. You're a star.
No, I'll not abuse that though. But I had said, how about the Bruno Mars song "It Will Rain."
Oh, I love that one too.
It's gorgeous. It's kind of similar, but it's a little more of a ballad.
Yes.
And he, he offered back, how about talking to the moon? And I think part of his reasoning was that song was a little bit bigger. It had like a little TikTok moment. I think, more people are familiar with that song. So I think he wanted to set me up for a little more success there. But I was really happy with it.
No, you did excellent with that song. It was one of my favorite ones. Playoffs performances. Your time on the show ended, though.
Yes.
Unfortunately, sadly. You did great, though. What is the biggest takeaway from your time on The Voice to help you continue your music career?
I think it taught me really to follow my intuition and my gut instinct. It also reminded me that you really have to be your own biggest advocate. If you don't, speak clearly, make your vision heard, it's not going to happen. And so that, has stayed with me moving forward. And I think another thing that I've just been thinking about is how after my Norah Jones performance, Niall was like, I think we just found out, the kind of record that you're going to make. So I've been thinking about that as I'm starting to write new music to release and, moving forward in that way, creatively. Yeah. That, I've been thinking about figuring out more of who I am, what my lane is, and how to use the performances from The Voice to figure that out.
Excellent segue onto the next thing I want to talk about, which is your original work. You
Yay.
do have some songs on Apple Music, as we're both Apple Music people, but you also have it on Spotify too. Yeah. Talk to me about some of your original work. Are you writing your own lyrics? Where are your inspirations coming from? Things like that.
Yeah, I write everything. And in Nashville, co-writing and songwriting with other people is really big. So I typically have, myself and a couple other writers on a track, except for Night Without You. That was actually the first song I wrote when I moved to Nashville. I was just getting into lyric writing and how to make, the quote unquote best lyric possible. Although that's super, can mean many different things, but I was really inspired by lots of like the songwriting community in Nashville when I wrote that. But yeah, I mean, I typically like start with some sort of chord structure, and then the melody kind of comes, and I usually like write down a bunch of different notes on my phone, like throughout the day or week of just ideas that come to me. And so once I have like chords I love and a melody starting to come, I'll look on my phone and see like what connects the most.
I was going to say, what happens when you're like, when you get a sudden burst of inspiration and you're like, what do I do right now? Do you take some time to start to write it down? Like, how does that work? I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like, because I'm not that creative. So how does that work if you're just walking, you and your fiance walking, taking a hike, and all of a sudden you see something and you're like, boom, inspiration. Yeah. I need 5 minutes to go think about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I always make sure I write it down. It's like the worst feeling ever when you had an idea, either, when you were busy, or for me, it'll happen even during gigs. Like I'll be playing around on a song and I'll kind of like change the chords because that's just like what I do. I get bored. And then I'm like, wait, this is really cool. And if I don't like literally grab my phone and voice memo it and you forget it, it's the worst. This is also reminding me of this book I love called, it's over there. It's called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And she has this idea in there. It's like a book for creatives. So I know you say you're not creative, but I feel like maybe you would like it. But anyway, she has this idea or this concept where creative ideas are like flying around and they land on you. And if you don't like catch them and utilize them and give them attention, they'll fly to someone else. So I think of it as more of an honor. Like, you chose me. I have to write you now.
I even love the visual of that.
Yeah.
Of, it's on me and I have to grasp this right now so I don't lose it. I love that. Even just that visual of imagining that. I can close my eyes and really imagine that, and I think that that's so cool. So yeah,
Yes.
you'll have to tell me that book, and I'll have to get the link for
Yes.
it so that way I can, because that is pretty cool. What I mean by I'm not creative is I, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not a artist. I'm not a person that can sit, draw, write, sing. I'm not any of that stuff. But like I said, you know what? I can be goofy and laugh at myself. And you know what? That is creative. That is creative in itself. Last thing about your original work, I love your song "Old Me." Where did that come from? I love that song.
Oh my God. I think so I'm actually like, if you couldn't tell, like I'm a major people pleaser. And so whenever I have any interpersonal conflict in my life, it's like the worst thing ever. I can't get over it. I'm super hurt. Um, and I ended up having a situation with a friend. It was like one of my first ever and one of my last ever like friend breakups where something just really wasn't seen eye to eye and we kind of lost touch. And I knew that she was really upset with me for whatever, now that I'm looking back, it's kind of her own reasons. But anyway, I had a hard time letting that go. And I was kind of really sick of it and sick of losing sleep and energy worrying that this person had it out for me. And I went into a session with a track guy, as we call it in Nashville, a producer, and my friend who's a writer, Sydney. And we just started talking, and I was just thinking, I had this lyric start on my phone called like, "You can have the old me, how you used to know me." Kind of just an idea of releasing whoever whoever that person pictures me as, letting it go and kind of moving on. So that's how it started.
I love it. Yeah, that's what I took from the lyrics. It was almost a way of purging this old you, and now you've been reborn into what you want to be. And so I love that. I love that. Yeah, I wanted to ask you personally because I love that song. It's saved. So thank you so much for sharing that. It's pretty cool when you can hear it directly from the person. So
yes,
thank you, Claudia.
I love hearing the story behind songs. So thanks for asking.
Of course. No, I'm big into that. I can't wait to see what you do with your original work. You ready for some burning questions while we wrap up?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Hopefully I do better than with the lyric game. Okay, go for it.
Hopefully you do better than the lyric.
Maybe you can just like chop that part out.
Yeah, you know what? We'll edit that part out, or we'll clean it up so that way it looks
Fine.
It's funny you say that because in the last episode I did, I brought up something with the individual that I was interviewing, and I said it so confidently. I was like, "Isn't that city that does this?" Completely wrong. So, so it happened. That's why I said if you gotta laugh at yourself. There you go.
I don't know how you do this. Honestly, it's really brave of you.
Thank you. You know what? It's kind of a superhero. Not all heroes wear capes, So, some of them just wear their own podcast shirts. That's all. No, awesome. You know what? In fairness, though, before I asked you, technically you also as well, because I just want to commend you, because on a serious note, as we're kind of joking about it, it is also hard to put yourself on national television. So you're sitting here praising me, saying, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you went on national television and said, look at world, this is my voice. This is who I am. Because you even said it, your voice is you. It is you. This is who you are. And so I want to commend you just for putting yourself out there. And now you have opportunities like this. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course. What is your favorite non-music related hobby?
I'm just getting back into drawing, which you actually mentioned earlier. It's so funny. I used to love like art as a little kid. Sorry, I'm probably supposed to like hurry up with these questions, but
no. Expand on them. You're fine.
In New York, visiting my two best friends from the show, one of whom is Nini Iris, and she had this little notebook, and she was like writing down, like, or she had like a little sketch notebook, and it was so good, and I just was so inspired by that. So I've just been like doing, stupid little relaxing stuff like coloring and like finding a cool photo on the internet or Pinterest and making that. So it's nice. It's a nice little release, because sometimes music can feel like work.
Yep.
So I want to find something creatively that's not that.
I was very big into drawing when I was a kid as well, primarily
Cool.
tracing and stick figures, but I still was very big into it. I say that now because I do have a sketch pad, and I do sometimes will sketch it's the same picture. Oh, Cameo from the cat. What's this cat's name?
This is River. You guys usually don't get this for free.
River. We are getting free River content right now. Hello, River.
All right. Sorry.
No.
So you're sketching.
Yes, I also will sketch, but it's the same log cabin that I constantly sketch. but it's just for me to kind of be like, all right, disconnect for a little bit, think of something else, mindless. And I did, but I went to Dollar Tree. Say what you want about Dollar Tree. They do have great coloring books for adults. They do. And so I went and I bought some, and I was able to color a bunch of different ones. Yeah. And it's just something I like to do.
Good idea.
Yes. Yes. I'm chock full of wisdom sometimes. What is your favorite childhood movie?
The Justin Bieber movie.
The Justin Bieber movie.
Wait, I don't even know what it's called. It's like Believer or something.
So are you a believer?
I sure was. I'm not. I listen to the records he puts out, but I was a little bit diehard. It was also around the time where I was wanting to be discovered, and I also played an instrument, and I was watching YouTube videos, and so I think I was equally jealous as I was enamored by him back in the day.
You're like, if he could do it at this age, so could I. Yes.
Where's my Scooter Braun?
Yes. No, he is really good. I mean, it's kind of interesting how social media will also help you with that as well, because I think that's how Shawn Mendes got big, was Vine.
Sure. Wow. Yeah.
I could be wrong with that.
No, that's it's real.
you're like, no, that actually does sound a little credible. So. Okay. As we're talking about coloring and artistry and all this stuff, if you could open up any crayon box, what color would you be?
I would be sea green.
Is green your favorite color?
No, I literally just
that was the first thing that popped up?
Pulled that out of nowhere.
Okay.
But I'm into this color I'm wearing right now, actually. It's kind of like a mustard green.
Yeah, it's like a plankton from SpongeBob green. Yes. What irrational fear did you have as a child?
Well, somewhere along my childhood, I went from really obsessed with cicadas, the kind that come out of the ground every 18 years.
Oh,
I would pick them up, put them on people and on myself, and then terrified. Now I can't even. So I guess it's really an irrational adult fear now that I have.
Adult fear. Okay. Yeah.
Any stink bugs, any flying beetle, get it away from me.
No. Does Claudia shriek when she sees that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But as a kid, you were able to pick it up. So it's almost like
I learned that. I don't know. I had some sort of trauma along the way.
Yeah. Something must have happened. I don't know. We don't. What is your biggest pet peeve?
I don't know. What's yours?
Okay. What is my biggest pet peeve? You know what? That is a good question. Way to, you know what also I appreciate? Off camera, I said, you know what? This is going to be like a conversation with your friend, and you turned the question on me, which I appreciate.
Just curious.
My biggest pet peeve, okay, and this might come across as harsh, but when people don't want to work for something, when they say they want something, but they're not willing to do something for it. And,
I hear you.
And I always, because to me, I listen to some people. I have friends. I also read things on the internet where people will say, oh, I really wanted that, but it just didn't happen. And to me, it's like, I don't know if I 1,000% believe that. I do believe that if you work hard, honest, you don't snake anybody, firm handshake, but you also are understanding that there's a lot that goes behind the scenes. Like, I've had people that say to me, Nathanael, I want to do a podcast and we talk. I'm from New England, Patriots, Celtics.
Okay.
How do I get started? And I tell them, I said, Listen, I started this just for fun, talking, and then it turned out to be something that people were like, "Oh no, I like it. He's good. He's funny. Maybe not the funny. Maybe I'm saying that about myself, but no. The point that I'm making is, sure, you might see a 30 to an hour and a half long podcast, however long the episode is, but you don't realize that there's so much behind the scenes.
Of course.
And so for you, I'm going to use you as an example.
And you're a one-man show, by the way. I know how it is, like, to do everything for yourself.
Completely. So that's the point that I'm making. Like for you, you might have a 3-4 minute song on Apple Music, and somebody might say, Claudia, what did you do to get that? But they don't see that 4-minute song took you so much longer than just 4 minutes. And so I think that that's my biggest pet peeve. I understand that sometimes circumstances happen and you're not able-bodied to do that. That I completely get. But to me, I'm like, if somebody says to me, I really wanted that, I just didn't happen, I'm like, I don't know if I 100% believe that. Not that I'm rude about it, but I will try to give good encouragement on how to actually get that. Or because even myself, now that we're going down this rabbit hole, so this is my school of thought, right? And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm ignorant to it. I read something one time that said, if you're comfortable with uncomfortability, then you will remain uncomfortable. So and I read it one time. I think I read it on a fortune cookie, actually, to be honest. But I think it has stuck with me because I thought about this. So even if you're in a dead sleep and you're sleeping on your arm, and it falls and it's dead, right? You'll wake up and you'll shake your arm because that pain is so, you don't want it. It's so uncomfortable. And I think that's where I'm at. I think sometimes when I hear people, to me, I'm like, no, I think you're genuinely happy with being uncomfortable. And again, I'll reference back to you. Gigging is not easy at restaurants, at bars, at things like that, at venues like that, because a lot of times, unless you're asking the crowd what song they want you to cover, you are background music at times. Sometimes people don't even listen. So that's a hard thing to do. And to constantly be singing, even songs of yours, original work, sometimes it might flop. I think I saw a TikTok where you played a short little snippet of your song and you wanted the genuine reaction of your friends. And like that's stuff that like you have to do. I would say that's my biggest pet peeve. I would say it's when, as I went down that little tangent, my soliloquy, I think that it's when people they say they want something, but they're not willing to put in the work for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes total sense. And you and I, to a degree, we've like spent years in some way, like honing our crafts and getting this, business or whatever, like you want to call what we do together. So yeah, I totally hear you. Now that I'm thinking, like you reminded me of TikTok, and I think actually one of my biggest pet peeves is when there are these big creators that are lip singing, but they match it up so perfectly to where they look like they're in a car and they're just doing that live, and they tell people it's live and it's like clearly not. I think that's like a pet peeve. I don't know if it's my biggest one, but it's kind of annoying.
I could see that. Sometimes social media can heighten my similar to what I just said, some of my frustrations. I do believe that the universe is a very giving place. I believe, like I said, if you wake up, you work hard, honest, handshake, a firm handshake, and you just be an upstanding person, that good things will happen. But I do believe, I do understand that things do happen, but I do believe that if you want something, you can work towards getting out of that predicament.
Totally. I agree. I mean, I heard so many times, like at Berkeley and in school, like success is when preparation meets luck and opportunity.
Yes.
Which is so true. I mean, things happen. And now I really look at it as, hey, if I'm really working hard at this and it's not happening, maybe I just need to like pivot in a small way and I'll actually find what works best or what I'm meant to do. Or, I think it's important to like listen to, hey, if I'm really like working at this and it's not happening, why?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. You have to be willing to, there's a difference between trolls and constructive criticism. And you have to know which one are being trolls and which one is being constructive criticism. You don't want to listen to the people that say you suck for no reason, that are just being rude. those people I do I do without. But no, I completely agree, and I love the success because that slogan that you said, because it is true. Even myself, I always tell people, you don't see someone who's in shape and they say, "How'd you get in shape?" "Oh, it was an accident." "Oops, I woke up one day." No, they had to put in hard work. They had to do a lot of things behind the scenes. And I think that's like any profession, any job, any person. Though, as I mentioned early in the episode, I used to play sports, and one of the things a coach said to me years back, he said, "The work that you do in the dark will show in the light." So all the things that you do when nobody's watching, that's what's going to show off when the lights are finally on bright. So I love that we're able to talk about that. So thank you for turning the question on to me. Appreciate it.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad I did. That turned into an interesting conversation.
It did. See, look at that, Claudia. You're getting good in this podcast game now. You said you were nervous. Is there a party trick or a magic trick or something like that that you can do?
No.
Okay.
I'm like pretty, my talents are what you see, and outside of that, there's not a whole lot besides being like an air fryer chef.
An air fryer chef, a professional air fryer. You're like, I didn't say professional.
It's good enough for me and my fiance to eat. So I also can make my cat's food, so that's pretty cool.
Hey, your husband or your fiance is a good barometer of what, like I always say, feeding men, they're a good barometer of how well you're doing.
I know, and they can't hide their reaction. Like,
no,
if it's not good, they won't eat it.
No, we won't. You're completely correct. So,
that's funny.
What conspiracy theory do you most believe in?
Oh no, I don't want to get in trouble. So
You're not gonna get in trouble.
Well, I take everything with a grain of salt, but I believe that you can heal yourself in many ways.
You and I are the same way, my friend. I went out to dinner with friends on Friday night, and we talked about that same thing, about how the body's just so remarkable, and how there's things that and even just natural ways that we can heal ourselves. So I completely agree with you. I think that we are remarkable creatures that can heal ourselves and be healed by other things that are not given to us on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think, something, this is like totally off topic, but something that I've, been thinking about recently is how our bodies like are really just trying to protect us and take care of us all the time. And even when we're having like symptoms or reactions or whatever we don't like and just want to fix, it's really just our body trying to heal us and reacting to whatever we're doing to it. So, it's good to have some compassion for ourselves and remember that, your body is there to keep you safe and protect you.
That's a very good point, because I tore my knee a couple years ago, and I had a major reconstructive knee surgery. And I remember the day after I had a knee surgery, I felt a burning in my knee, and I was so terrified. And so I called the doctor's office and I said, "I'm feeling this burning. What's going on? Is something happening? Am I going to need surgery again?" And she goes, "No, your body's trying to heal the scar tissue." And so it's just like, it's crazy, because at the time it's so painful and you think this is the worst, most unbearable pain. Yeah. But it's actually, you just said it, your body's trying to heal you.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Pretty cool. All right, last thing here is I have a deck of random cards, okay? So I need you to give me a number 1 through 5, and whichever one is the question that you will answer, okay? So 1 through 5. I'm not even going to look.
4.
4. Okay, that's my favorite number. Okay. What is something you would lock away so nobody could ever see it or take it? Do you have any collectible that you would ever lock away?
I would lock all my voice memos on my phone. I have like 3,000 in there, and I have some songs that have never seen the light of day and may never at all. But I also have some some songs that I really want to finish that are all, the starts, the bones of which are in there. So I would hide that from everybody.
Okay, I like it. Good answer. That was a great answer.
Thanks.
Plug in your socials. Where can people find you, listen to you, follow you? Let the people know where they can experience Claudia.
Well, the hub of everything right now, at least, is on Instagram. So you can find me at Claudia B Sings. And from there, you can find, I'm on Apple Music, Spotify, all those things. My artist name is just Claudia B. I will be releasing some songs in the next few months. I'm also starting a YouTube channel, so you can hear some broken down covers and maybe some medleys.
Yes.
So yeah, just Claudia B.
Nathaniel's requesting a medley.
Perfect.
Well, Claudia, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, sitting, chatting with me. I really appreciate it. You're now a friend of the show. I've sworn you in. You're now an Avenger. It's basically like being an Avenger, okay?
That's amazing. Really an honor.
Thank you. That is going to do it for this episode of the Reyes Reflection Podcast. Follow the show, share, follow me on the socials, and check out our wonderful sponsors, Arave Cards, Jocko Fuel, and Mad Rabbit. And as always, may you live, may you love, and may you thrive. I'm Oprah as a dude, and I love you all.